Hello, my gorgeous friends, and welcome back. We are doing a video today specifically on the new moon and Gemini. I want to keep this succinct and short and giving you the juiciest bits of information to help you navigate your life and your business in a really easy way. So we will be talking about, again, the new moon in Gemini. We're looking at the human design, and we're also looking at the astrology. What I want to help you do is kind of bridge the gap between the two and give you the information in a simplified way so that you can kind of integrate it easier. Because I know a lot of people talk about it from this really big hierarchy place, and you're like, what does that even mean? I want you to leave the end of this video feeling like, I feel what she's talking about, and that, it resonates in your physical body. So we're going to be talking about energy. We're going to be talking about how you can actually move this and use this to your advantage. I'm Tara Kinden. If you're brand new to my world, welcome, welcome, welcome. I work with female entrepreneurs, creatives, and visionaries, really helping them to kind of streamline and monetize all of the beautiful creations and ideas, helping them make sense of all of the magic of who they are in a way that they can put it to work for them and live life and their businesses in a, more passionate and powerful way. So if you are an OG, welcome back. I am happy you are here. I'm grateful that you keep showing up. And of course, I love your feedback. I love to hear from you. So make sure that if you're digging what I'm saying, please like this video, share this video, and leave me a comment so I can get back to you, Abby. All right, here we go. Let me share my screen. We're going to look at the astrology first, because I find when you can kind of see the wheel, get an idea of where the planets are, and then we're going to dive into the energy. So when I look at the astrology is sort of that base foundation. If you were building a house, it is the foundation. It's the structure, right? This is what it's, built like, looks like, structured like. And then we put the layer of the human design on top, which is kind of in the house where you would put certain walls and furniture. And if you kept bumping up against the same wall or the same piece of furniture, you may take it out altogether, or you would navigate around it in a way that felt really good for you. And that's what the human design can do. It's sort of the energetic level, the energies of the day in a different way. Let's dive in here. All right. So we just came off a new VSP, the Venus star point, where Venus was Cazimi the sun, and she's been rebirthed. So she kind of goes through this Phoenix rising type energy, and she's moved from a Leo morning star into a Gemini evening star, which is a very different energy for our Venus. And when she's in evening star mode, she's more romantic, she's more luxurious, she's more in her real, true, divine feminine receptivity. So for the next 9.5 months, you're probably going to feel a little less in your face. Like the Venus in Leo was a little bit more, I want this, I want it now, and a little bit more, I wouldn't want to say aggressive, but a little bit more like she knew what she wanted, and she was like, I'm getting this, I'm going for it. Where now we're sort of leaning into our thoughts, and recognizing that your thoughts play a big role in how you manifest. Okay. So this new VSP happened on Tuesday. It is now Thursday. So a couple of days later, right? And now we're having the new moon, but Venus is still in conjunction, right close and uptight. So you see a new moon in the chart looks like this. The sun and the moon are hanging out together, and Venus is also here. And you can see the stacked Gemini house. Like there's a lot of action in Gemini. So if your minds have been on fire and you've been overloaded with ideas and all the inspirations being up here, awesome. But we need to find a way to bring that down into the physical. And this is where the integration happens today, hopefully, in our communication. So we're also looking at Mercury and Jupiter being in Gemini. And then we have other air signs, other air action. We have Pluto in Aquarius, and we have the South Node in Libra. So this is an energy of a lot of air in, the ethers. So air in the ethers, but like we're feeling very flighty, very flaky, and a little bit confused, right? So the collective is feeling this energy. If you live with this energy, then you're probably like, no big deal. But if you are not living with this energy natally, like i.e. you've got a lot of fire, a lot of earth, or, a lot of water, this may be unsettling for you because it takes you out of the body potentially, right? And up here into just the mind, right? So we want to ground this energy. When we look over here, we see the only planet in Taurus now is Uranus. And then over in Aries, we've got the North Node, Chiron. I've got Hygeia in here because she's important. And we also have Mars, who is only 2 degrees away from popping over into Taurus, which is going to give him a very different energy, right? So the fire energies of your chart right now are holding the energy of the North Node where we're going. Chiron, that wounded healer, what are we healing within ourselves? What are we moving through? What are we transforming in our wellness? Because he's conjunct Hygeia right now. So there's a really big, he's the wounded healer, right? There's a story behind Chiron that I'm not going to go into right now. You can go and Google and get lots of information on Chiron, but him conjunct Hygeia is like, what are we going to do to preventatively take care of our health and wellness? What are we going to get an action around? So if you need to set up a new routine around your health and wellness, perfect. This new moon is an excellent time to kick that off. And then with Mars being in Aries, this is also that get up and go, the trailblazing, the making things happen, the moving forward really quickly without thinking about it fully or thinking about the consequences of how our actions may affect other people. So if you've been experiencing that as well, this too shall pass soon, my friend. This too shall pass. And then, of course, we have Neptune and we have Saturn hanging out here in Pisces. So the energy of this new moon, yes, fresh start, new beginnings, and all of that great juicy stuff. Our ability to communicate is probably on fire. And I will say that if you can't find the words to say the things you are thinking about and wanting to say, it just means that the timing isn't quite right. And Venus, the sun, and the moon are making a square over to Saturn, causing us a little bit of a slowdown or a little bit of a, we've got to be a little bit more structured in the way that we are taking our aligned action. You know, Saturn in Pisces is giving a carte blanche free pass to the creators. And this is where you're seeing creators rising up, things happening really quickly for creators who have struggled, the starving artists who have struggled for a really long time. Saturn is blessing those folks saying, okay, look, you've been at this for a while. By now, you probably need to build some structures, but I'm going to make this a little bit easier for you. I'm going to make it more fun, more fluid, and more flow. So I know a lot of people are saying, oh, squares are, you know, this challenging thing that can cause some issues for us. But like, yes, and we need that challenge. We need that square to stand up, to lift up, to move up and beyond, right? If you're sitting in a chair, and Ortley talks about this, your knees are at a 90-degree, a square, and you need that to get up, right? You need the power of the square to move yourself from a seated position to a standing position. So you can think of it that way, like your Venus, that divine feminine energy within you that wants to be, you know, creative. She wants to be in her self-worth and her self-value. She wants to bring beauty to the world, to her own life, and to the people around her. Remember, Gemini is the twins. So we can see both sides of all of this. All of this new moon has a duality to it. The sign of Gemini is a dual-natured energy. And sometimes it's known, people say it's two-faced. Well, it just thinks it sees all sides. So it sometimes has confusion with making the decision, like, do I want to go this way? Do I want to go this way? So if you're feeling that, Saturn might come in and say, listen, I know you're confused right now and you want to go all directions, but what does your heart say? Because he's asking Venus. He's saying, okay, well, we got to go this way. He's not, shouldn't say he's asking her, but he's consulting her. He's going to do what he wants to do anyway. But there is a consultation, which is lovely because it's giving us a little bit of a helping hand. Now, this new moon is also making a trine, a positive aspect down to that south node in Libra. Remember, Libra is ruled by Venus. Libra is also about balance, equality, justice. It's about relationship. It's about the other. It's about how we are in relationship. And I see this trine as also, it's like a positive release. Of course, where new moons, it's not so much about the release as it is about setting a new intention. But a while back, we had this flip over where new moons were happening after the full moon. And it was always the new moon before the full moon. Do you know what I'm saying? So we got this, and I know this might get a little astro babble for some, so I apologize. Just stay with me, lean into how this feels. Is that almost when we're having full moons, it's like that's the energy of our new moon. And when we get these new moons, it almost feels like it's a full moon. So if you're feeling more like things have really been illuminated for you over the last couple of days, this can be that. And so it's illuminating something you need to release in the best way possible. It's not meant to be a really painful release. This is just like a positive, like, oh, let's let this go. Maybe we can move away from this old thought, old relationship, old idea. And it's time to transform how we show up in those relationships. Because when we have Mercury here, Mercury is about the expansion. And in a couple of days, we're going to have a Cazimi with Mercury and the sun, which is where Mercury is being reborn. So we just had Venus be reborn. Then we're having a new moon. Then we're going to have Mercury be reborn. And this is a very powerful, transformative energy of the mind. And remember, Mercury is the ruler, or he's the the helper. He is the ruler of Gemini. So we look to him to be like, okay, what's he up to? Well, he's also in Gemini. So not only is, the god of communication in Mercury, but this in Gemini, but this new moon is also happening in Gemini. So lots and lots and lots of mind-based energy and big, big, big expansions around that. This is the most beautiful time for us to reframe how we see things, how we think about things, and give ourselves the gift of like, you can change your mind. If you don't believe that old limiting belief, behavior, pattern thing that you've been doing up here, maybe you've been beating yourself up a lot. Maybe you've been saying really shitty things to yourself. You can transform that. You can transform that now. Recognizing it is the first step to your transformation. But with Jupiter making a trine, again, another positive aspect to Pluto, it's like, let's do that death, transformation, rebirth. And I'm talking energetically, not like, so are there things that you have been expanding into, wanting to leap and lean into, but there's still this lingering thing that you need to transform within you, right? It's like you want to make a bigger impact in the world. You want to make more money. You want to have a more pleasure-filled life. But you have this old idea of how it needs to be. You got to work harder. You got to do more. You got to blah, blah, blah before you can enjoy life, right? Maybe you're realizing that's not serving you anymore. And it's time to let that go. This is the perfect time to do that. So that's kind of the energy of the astrology. How does that feel for you? That's the biggest question. Always asking yourself, how does this feel for me? Like I'm hearing things from different, mentors, teachers, coaches, whatever, people blathering on social media about, the human design, and you're seeing human design everywhere, more so than astrology. Maybe that's just my feed. So look, you're going to get a lot of different insights and information. And the best thing you can do for yourself is tune in and tap into your own wisdom, your own heart, your own knowingness, and say like, yeah, does this feel right? Or like, no, if it doesn't feel right, then dump it. You're not stuck to it. This is the human design chart. And for those of you who are brand new to kind of like seeing a chart in action, I just want to bring to your attention, like, this is what they call, the conscious side, the personality side. This is the unconscious side, which is just like, how I explain this is this. We know this energy, we feel this energy is like up in your business. You can't get away from it. Where this funny stuff, it is relevant and it runs on repeat in the background. So this is your ancestral wisdom. But remember, this is a transit chart. And this holds true for astrology as well. We looked at the transit chart for the new moon. When you are looking at these transit charts, you're always in the background thinking about your natal chart, because your natal chart is the most important chart. It is the one you refer back to. See, how's that energy playing out in the now for me as this blueprint? Hopefully that makes sense, because you want to be able to reference your natal chart that will always supersede a transit chart. Okay. The transits are just how the energy might show up and affect you, because different gates are being lit up, different centers are being lit up. It's going to change the energy of how we feel. And this is every single day. Yes, we're talking about a new moon, but every single day, there are transits that shake things up in your life. And when you feel, whoa, like what the hell is happening today? Why do I feel like it's probably because the transit has activated something within your own natal chart, and it's causing you to feel or become a certain energy of that day, right? You're kind of embodying it unconsciously even. So if you're curious, like, how do I navigate these days when there's all this big energy and it's always moving, it's never not moving? And to be honest, I do not know how people function on the daily without having some insights or heads up on, like, hey, this is what's planetarily moving. Now you kind of can put some words to it, as opposed to, like when you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and there are no lights on and you're tripping over things. Like, I feel like the majority of the population is moving through life like that. The lights are off and they're tripping over furniture trying to get to the toilet in the middle of the night. So if that's you, and you're like, I would love to have the lights turned on, then I'm going to invite you right now to join me in the success forecast. This is something I'm going to lead over the summer. It's a daily Voxer, which gives you the heads up on how to energetically align with your most successful self for the day, so that you can really turn your energy on and show up more powerfully in your life. Okay, the details for that will be below. You'll just look for success forecast. Anyways, back to this. So this is our personality. This is the unconscious. Okay. And the unconscious is like on your phone. It's sort of that information rolling around in the background. Like, you're like, why did my app just get me? You update your phone and your apps, when it reloads, is all over the place and things are kind of like moving around in the background. That's the energy of the conscious. Like, it's always there, sort of this like wise wisdom that sort of hangs out, and you will get these nudges and you're like, how do I know that? Where did that come from? That's where it comes from. It's like the ancestral wisdom that lives within your cells and your blueprint, right? Where this is what you really feel and are recognized. It's in your face. You can't get away from it. So when we talk about the chart, we are truly looking here to go here as the next layer and level. And I really don't want to implode your brains. So let's start with the top and roll down to the bottom. We're going to look at all of these, which are planets. Okay. All of these are associated with a planet. If you're like, what are these? I don't even know what these are. These are called glyphs. Okay. And I created a guidebook. It's an astrology guidebook, but it shows you the glyphs. I'll quickly show you that in a second. Like when we're done the HD, I'll quickly show you that, because you can go get it. It's free. It's free on my website, and it will help you understand, oh, this little image is the glyph for the sun. Okay, cool. Now these are our centers in the human design chart. We've got ones that are open and white, some that are defined and are colored in. That means that you have a consistent, this chart has a consistent access to that energy, right? Where when it's open, we're amplifying that energy from the people, places, things, and what have you around you. Okay. So let's look at the sun. The sun is in gate 35. Gate 35 is all about the experience, right? What are the experiences? What are the things that are worthwhile for you to get behind and get into? And I want to draw your attention to the moon and to Venus, who are all in gate 35, right? Asking you, what is worthwhile for you to put your energy, your emotional self behind? And remember, this is in Gemini. So it also is a throat gate. Okay. And this is where we can, if we're having trouble with the words, if we're telling stories that don't feel right, if we're sharing our experiences saying, oh, this was a, terrible thing that happened to me, and I have lost myself in this experience, and now I'm believing that story, right? I believe that story for myself. This can actually suppress the thyroid, the parathyroid, and you want to be able to release, to let go, to express yourself in ways that is a higher octave and a higher level. How can you transform those stories? How can you transform your experiences to know this was worthwhile? Like, I learned something here, and now I'm able to change, transform, and move in a different way. Sharing beautiful stories is what this gate is all about. And using your voice, not being afraid to use your voice and transform the experiences. Remember that, if you remember just looking back to the astrology chart, that this new moon, those 3 planets are making a trine to the south node. How can we tweak, change, let go of, release old stories to write a new one? Okay. Now, how do we stay grounded in this new moon? We stay grounded in our consistent efforts. Some of us need that consistent routine and have this natally active. Do I have a regular routine that keeps me feeling healthy, well, and whole? Do I not allow myself to be consistent because, well, I don't know, consistency feels like a swear word and it doesn't feel good for me to be consistent, yet I'm getting this activation and I'm being almost prompted to look at, what do I need to do right now to get down to business on taking care of my vital life force energy? So this can be, are you doing grounding practices? Because with all this air energy, we do need to come back down to earth. So are you allowing yourself to come back down to earth? Where are you floating away? Where are you not feeding yourself well? Where are you not taking great care of your energy? And where are you not setting up boundaries, right? Boundaries are a big one. I'm going to link a podcast episode I created as well on energy vampires and how to take excellent care of your energy by setting boundaries. Okay. That is a big one. The North Node, if you remember, is in Aries, really prompting us to be trailblazers, to be independent, to be sovereign in our power. It's in the gate 21. The gate 21, this is the will center. It's our ability to be in our willpower. And 80% of the population does not have this center defined. So they are basically running on fumes of willpower, and they're wondering why they can't force themselves to do the things. Well, we're all going to get lit up with this activation here of a defined will, what it feels like to be in the energy of like, I am going to do this, and have the energy behind it to do it. If you don't have, like, if you're a projector or a manifestor or a reflector and you don't have built-in workforce, life force energy, this is going to give you a boost if you don't have this natally in your chart, right? It's going to be like, ooh, okay, I got the energy. And because your minds are on fire, you might not know which direction to put your energy into. So this is where focusing in is going to help you out and regulating that energy, right? Like, do not pull all-nighters unless you feel excited enough to chase it, like you're on a creative urge rush and it feels good. If it feels like you're forcing yourself, you're pushing yourself, or you're doing way too much, don't do it. You will burn yourself out to a crisp, please. All right, South Node is here in the 48. This is the gate of wisdom, right? South Node is where we're kind of like, I want to say moving away from, but it's also like we're moving away with the blessing of. We've been in this energy of learning how to trust ourselves, learning how to be in our wisdom, learning how to like listen to those soft, intuitive nudges and pulses from your inner knowingness, okay? We talked about the moon. Let's talk about Mercury. Mercury's in the gate 16, who is running from the throat. We've got 4 throat activations happening here. So, you know, a lot of emotional solar plexus energy, a lot of throat-based energy happening here, and giving you access to new ways to speak up for yourself, right? What turns you on? What is the zest for life? You know, what do you need to trust in yourself? Because that wisdom from the South Node is running up to Mercury. They're incommunicado. They're having a conversation. There's an energy here of the wavelength. Oh, yeah, that feels good. Chase more of that. That's kind of like Mercury, the god of communication, is reminding you, chase the pleasures. Chase the pleasures, talk about the pleasures, what's working, right? Because there's a lot of things going on in the world right now that aren't working. A lot of us have had the wind taken right out of your sails. You're just overwhelmed with the grief and the horrors and the things. So where can you lean into a glimmer of sparkle, something, a little spark that turns into a beautiful, bright flame in your life? So we talked about Venus being in the 35. Let's look at Mars. He's in the gate 3, which is down here, but he's in innovation. So this is where you're going to get these pulses, these almost like gut level. Whoop, oh, wow, that would be amazing. And it's coming out of nowhere. It feels like it's just coming out of nowhere. So you got all these ideas, all of these seeds that are just like being planted, and that's perfect. Plant them, nurture them, take care of them. You don't need to run with all of them at once. If something feels like it's more baked, then yeah, baby, run with it. But don't burn yourself out trying to run with things that are half baked, okay? Yes, I'm speaking to you, the person who is like chasing 1,000 things at one time and needs to just be like, maybe this needs more time to bake, okay? Now Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter is in Gemini as well, and Jupiter is expanding, expanding, expanding. He's expanding whatever we feel, whatever we're thinking about, right? Which is so Gemini, as he's there hanging out. He's really getting us to practice patience. So as you're practicing patience with this energy, it's running off the throat. And again, another throat activation. Okay, where am I prematurely talking about something that isn't fully baked? So you want to watch where you're doing that, right? Take it to maybe some supports or people that can just listen, to you, to speak it through, speak it out. But you don't actually need to go and do anything with it yet. There's still this level of it's getting worked out. We're intuitively tuning ourselves in to figure it out because it's connecting to the 57, right? So this is about intuition. Now let's look at Saturn. Remember, Saturn is over in Pisces and he's in the gate of surrender. Are you able to trust that everything you're going to need when you're going to need it is going to show up? This is not easy. This is hard to be in that vibe, right? Because we're programmed to want everything now. I want it now. Like, I deserve it now. Where sometimes we have to lean into the experience of it. Maybe the timing isn't quite right yet. And we need to, again, let it bake. I just feel like there's this deep, let it bake energy. Let's lean in, surrender. That doesn't mean you're not taking aligned action. It just means you're not pushing it out. You're being in receptivity. The Pisces is about, being romantic, allowing the creativity to flow, feeling into the rhythms of nature, the rhythms of the cycles of life. And that is challenging for those who have a lot of air energy, those of you who are really stubborn and need it to be a certain way, right? So leaning into that is going to help out a little bit. Now let's talk about Chiron. So Chiron, you remember, is conjunct Hygeia. They're in the gate 42. And that gate 42 is about conclusions. What do I need to be done with? What do I need to complete, finish, put a bow on, and be like, yep, this is now done. I need to move here. I need to move forward in this way. So if you've been doing things, especially around your personal health and wellness, if you've been pushing yourself too hard, if you've been doing things that are not aligned with where you really are truly meant to be moving, then you're going to need to get something finished and off your plate to move forward. Okay. And maybe you need time to go into yourself, to do some healing, to do some inner work, to do some proper nourishment. If you haven't been nourishing yourself or drinking water, maybe you need to do some of that stuff and just complete this like starvation. I don't know, starvation is the word that comes up, but like the starving of your spirit, right? Refuel, refill up your spirit and conclude the energy of deprivation. Let's look to Uranus here, who's in the gate 23. Gate 23 is another throat activation. This is the gate of transmission. Again, it connects with the thyroid and it's Taurus. So Venus ruled. This is aligned communication. And when you don't have the right words to say the things you need to say, it's better to keep it to yourself. And sometimes we're going to trip over our words, and sometimes we're going to say things and go, oopsie, probably shouldn't have said that out loud. It is what it is. Can you forgive yourself? Can you give yourself the grace? Can you come at it from a loving place? And sometimes this is about communicating a really big, beautiful thing you're trying to create. Just say it. If you need to just say it and you feel the urge to just say it, then have at her and see how you feel. Then we look at Neptune, who is in the gate 25. That's the gate of spirit. This is a heart-based activation. This is really aligning with the truest version of your highest level of self. Okay. And then we also want to look to that last one, which is Pluto, who's hanging out here in gate 60, which is making that connection between innovation and conservation, conserving your energy and only utilizing the pulses to move when it feels right. And only you will know the answer to this. No one else can help you to feel that. Like, that's a you feeling. So this is why it's really important to be able to lean into your magic, your power, your wisdom, your knowingness, and putting more trust in yourself than on others. Oh, what did they think I should do? What does my coach say should be my next steps? It's like, no, thank you for your advice. I'm here, you paying people to get their insights and what have you, but you need to move this forward for yourself, right? You need to make that decision. So now I'd love to share with you, for those of you who are curious about learning ways to use and learn astrology. This is also great for human design. This is the free guidebook that I created. So I'll just run you through it quickly. You can learn how to pull astrology charts, getting your own. I walk you through all of it. All the signs, what do they mean? All the luminaries, all the planets, a little bit about each one. What are the outer planets? Like, what are all the points of our destiny? What does that mean? What are feminine asteroids, right? The zodiac signs, a little bit about each one, a little bit about the houses, right? And going into your own, looking at the angles, all this fun and beautiful information. What is a trine? What is an opposition? How does this help me? And then for those of you who want to learn more about your business, you can grab my free guide, which is about that rising to success and using your rising sign to powerfully move forward. And then of course, my candles, guys. For those of you who don't know that I make zodiac-based candles on the energy of your magical birth sign, I do that as well. So thank you so much for being here with me. I'm going to put the links below to all of the things that I discussed with you. I hope that this moon initiates something new for you in a non-pressured way, that it gets to be really light, really fun, really playful. You think about all those Gemini things, all the Gemini energies, like witty and social and like pleasing and like, ooh, what would it feel like to go this way, go that way? Like, playing with all of that energy and letting it be in your body. So how do you get back into your body so that you're not feeling like you're floating off? Well, simple tapping exercises. There's one called the four thumbs, which you can tap here. You can actually look it up. It's Donna Eden. She talks about the four thumbs. Prune Harris is my favorite. You thump, you hit your K27. This just brings you back into your physical body. And then for those of you, this sounds like anybody who is of my age will remember when we would talk into fans and be like, transformer voice. Yeah, I see you. And down here under the bra strap, just around that area, this is the spleen meridian, and we're asking that we easily digest our thoughts and emotions. This just like brings you back down onto the planet and to the real world. And then again, tapping on the thymus, which is your higher heart. This really connects you to your highest and best version of self. So there are some things that you can do to help ground yourself, even just going for a walk, relaxing and sitting by water, all of the things, meditation, yoga. First card up is a throat chakra card. You all know this. We are using the power of your throat. We are using your words and watching that you are taking safe care of your thyroid. Creativity. Creativity is next, and this is about really stepping into your creative version of self, letting that Saturn help you to create in a way that just feels so new and refreshing. no pressure on your creativity, but that you block out some time to explore your inner creator. And then that redefine boundaries card, which goes perfectly in alignment with the podcast episode I mentioned around energy vampires, setting boundaries. Every time you set a healthy boundary, an energy vampire loses a tooth. How amazing is that? And that's what we need. So I hope this felt great for you. Thank you again for being here. All the links to all the things will be below. And I hope you're enjoying the energies of this amazing new moon in Gemini. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.